George Washington High School in the city of San Francisco features 13 giant murals. They show the life of George Washington. The murals were painted in the 1930s as part of FDR's New Deal, and they feature images of enslaved African Americans and dead American Indians. The point is to capture both the good and the bad of George Washington's legacy. It's art. It's serious art, actually. But the San Francisco School Board has just voted to spend $600,000 to destroy the murals. Not temporarily, but forever. They say they are too offensive to survive. Every Democrat running for president this year ought to be asked, do you support this? Politicians destroying art they find politically disagreeable. Don't count on that question being asked. We contacted several museums and art critics to see if they were concerned about art being destroyed. Only one even responded to our question, the art critic for a New York publication. He called it a fake story. No problem. Politicians destroying art doesn't seem to bother the art community at all. The Taliban blew up Buddha statues. Mao's Red Guards destroyed books and art that represented old ideas. Just like them, the modern left has no use for art that isn't propaganda. Dave Rubin hosts the Rubin Report on YouTube. He joins us tonight. Dave, did you ever think that you would live to see a day where liberals were calling for the destruction of art?
Tucker, well, I cannot believe that something completely bananas and insane is coming out of San Francisco, of all places, the bastion of sanity that is San Francisco. I mean, look, George Washington, like every single leader we've ever had, like all of us, has a complex past. Just a couple months ago, I actually went to Mount Vernon, which is outside of D.C., and that was his home. And, you know, they are upfront that George Washington, he had that complex past. Look, he led the Continental Army in the American Revolutionary War, and then one of the first things he did as president was set aside that power. That is an incredibly amazing thing that he did that we should honor. Now, at the same time, George Washington did own slaves. That is something we have to recognize. He freed his slaves when he passed away, but Martha actually kept her slaves. Right. Well, so that's the point, that everyone, every historical figure is just someone of their time, including us. And the idea that we're going to erase the past, you know, you're right, to compare it to the Taliban or compare it to ISIS, it sounds over the top at some level, but it actually is what we are doing. There seems to be this movement by the progressives that if you erase the past, or if you change the nature of words, if you change the word owner, so an NBA owner is no longer an owner, he's a governor, that somehow will erase what slavery was. And we see these things consistently happening, and actually, not only do they not erase the past, they make us unable to navigate the future because we can't figure out where we were last time. And that's what we have to grapple with. And I'd rather have honest conversations about these things than just destroy everything in the name of tolerance or something like that.
But where's the so-called art community? I remember Republicans in the 80s taking a lot of heat because they didn't want to fund certain art projects with tax dollars. But here you have politicians saying we need to affirmatively destroy, deface, vandalize art. And by the way, art that's been there for 80 years and whose intrinsic value no one has questioned. So why is nobody raising the alarm? Where are decent liberals saying, wait a second, you know, along with book burning, this is too far. We can't do this. But they're not saying that.
Yeah, you know, Tucker, this exact issue that you're bringing up, where are decent liberals? This is exactly what I've been talking about for years. As the progressives that you referenced earlier in the show, as they've gone more radical, as they've gone more to the left, as they've gone more to socialism and far leftism, they've silenced the good liberals, because when you call everyone racist and bigoted and the rest of it, it is the greatest chilling effect that you can possibly do. And they've done this really effectively. And the good liberals, they don't know where to turn anymore for allies. And what I've found, as someone that does still consider myself to be liberal, is I've found that I can break bread and make allies with people like you and people that are on the right that are open and willing to have some disagreement. But what they're afraid of is if they dare say, don't destroy art, let's not remove the past of the first president of the United States of America, they think that those cries, those false cries, by the way, because they're almost always false, they think that those false cries of racism and bigotry will be used against them, and that's what they fear the most. And what I would want most of your listeners to understand is this is why people have to start speaking up. This is a hysterical minority that I think if more of us started speaking up, I think we could actually get them to quiet down for a change.
It's kind of amazing that we're going to stand by and allow politicians to destroy a work of art using $600,000 in tax money. It's hard to believe we're going to allow that to happen, and I really hope we don't. Dave, great to see you tonight. Thank you.
Yeah.